retains cleaner city tag for the fourth year in a row. Chhattisgarh adjudged as the cleanest state in the fifth edition of the Swachh Sarvekshan survey. Union Minister Hardeep Puri interacts with select beneficiaries, Clean India warriors and sanitation workers and the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban through video conference. Prime Minister lauds cricketer Mahendra Singh Dhoni for his contribution to cricket. In a letter to Dhoni, PM describes Dhoni as one of the most important illustrations of New India, where destinies are made by individual efforts and not family name. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says world comes out of the unprecedented challenge of COVID-19, but it would never be the same again. Addresses the 6th roundtable of ASEAN-India network of think tanks. Also says need of the hour is new thinking, fresh ideas, more imagination and greater openness and going beyond orthodoxies. India scales a new peak in daily testing. Over 9 lakh COVID-19 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. About 21 lakh patients beat the epidemic. Recovery rate reaches near 74%. Worldwide, COVID-19 cases rise to over 2.25 crore with 7.9 lakh deaths. The situation remains grim in Bihar. About 81 lakh people across 16 districts affected. Delhi NCR areas continue to witness medium to heavy rainfall. Traffic snarls being reported due to waterlogging at many roads and underpasses. Met Department predicts thunderstorm accompanied with medium to heavy rains for today. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Kamala Harris says Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, including Indian Americans, could play an important role in key battleground states in the November 3 presidential election. In her address to the virtual Asian American and Pacific Islander caucus meeting in the U.S. Hello and welcome. You're watching DD News and DD India with me, Munna Bhattacharya. Our top story, the Swachh Sarvekshan Awards 2020 were announced by Union Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri at a ceremony. Indore was adjudged India's cleanest city for the fourth straight year in the central government's cleanliness survey announced on Thursday. The second and third positions in the category were grabbed by Surat and Navi Mumbai. The fifth edition of the annual cleanliness survey was conducted in a record time of 28 days. Union Minister launched the report for the Swachh Sarvekshan and also interacted with select beneficiaries under the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban via a video conference. Union Minister said that everyone should get inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi's steps towards cleanliness.
Had espoused the cause of sanitation in 2016 and his efforts which resulted not only in the freedom of India, but I think in decolonization and in the emancipation of the world started a year later, 2017. So I think I draw inspiration from what our Prime Minister said. Perhaps we have never fully been able to comprehend the true meaning and brand which is Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, his contribution to the world, not only to India, but now we see that contribution evolve in an even more meaningful way.
In the category of more than 1 lakh population, Indore is India's cleanest city fourth year in a row. The city and its people have shown exemplary dedication towards cleanliness, while the bustling industrial town of Surat in Gujarat emerged as India's second cleanest city. Navi Mumbai secured the third position in this category. Maharashtra's Karad and Saswad secured the first and second positions in category of less than a 1 lakh population, while Lonavala secured the third position in the same category. Meanwhile, in the category of more than 100 urban local bodies, Chhattisgarh bagged the first position in the overall performance, while with less than 100 urban local bodies, Jharkhand secured the first position. India's cleanest cantonment was backed by Punjab's Jalandhar. Varanasi was awarded India's cleanest town on the banks of the river Ganga. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written a 2-page appreciation letter to former cricketer and captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who recently retired from international cricket.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi applauding Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the cricketer, sportsman and above all the person, describing him as one of the most important illustrations of New India, where destinies are made by individual efforts and not family name. I quote the letter. Prime Minister says, "Dear Mahendra, on 15th August, in your trademark unassuming style, you shared a short video that was enough to become a long and passionate discussion point for the entire nation. 130 crore Indians were disappointed but also eternally grateful for all that you have done for Indian cricket in the last decade and a half. One way to look at your cricketing career is through the prism of statistics. You have been one of the most successful captains, instrumental in taking India to the top of the world charts. Your name will go down in history as being one of the world's batting greats, amongst the greatest cricketing captains, and certainly one of the best wicket-keepers the game has seen. Your dependability in tough situations and your style of finishing matches, particularly 2011 World Cup final, will forever be etched in the public memory for generations. But the name Mahendra Singh Dhoni will not be remembered merely for his career statistics or specific match-winning roles. Looking at you just as sportsperson would be injustice. The correct way to assess your impact is as a phenomenon. Rising from humble beginnings in a small town, you burst into the national scene, made a name for yourself, and most importantly, made India proud. Your rise and conduct thereafter give strength and inspiration to crores of youngsters who, like you, have not been to cushy schools or colleges, neither do they belong to illustrious families, but they have talent to distinguish themselves at the highest levels. You have been one of the important illustrations of the spirit of New India, where family name does not make young people's destiny, but they make their own names and their own destinies. Where we come from does not matter as long as we know where we are headed. This is the spirit that you have exuded and inspired many youngsters with. Many of your memorable on-field moments exemplify a particular generation of Indians. This generation of Indians does not hesitate to take risks and back each other's abilities in even the toughest situations, seen in the way you took risks many a time in backing little-known youngsters to deliver in high-pressure situations. The 2007 T20 World Cup Finals is a perfect example of this spirit. This generation of Indians does not lose their nerve in decisive situations. We saw that in many of your innings and games. Our youth does not lose heart in the face of adversity and most importantly are fearless, just like the team you led. No matter what hairstyle you sported, your calm head remained the same in victory or defeat, which is a very important lesson for every youth. I would like to mention your special association towards India's armed forces. You were most happy being among our army personnel. Your concern towards their welfare has always been remarkable. I hope Sakshi and Ziva get to spend more time with you. I convey my good wishes to them as well, because without their sacrifices and support, nothing would have been possible. Our youth could also learn from you how to balance professional and personal priorities. I remember seeing a picture of you playing with your cute daughter, even as everyone around you was celebrating victory in a particular tournament. That was vintage MS Dhoni. Wishing you the very best for your future endeavors. Yours, Narendra Modi.
And now for more on this letter that Prime Minister has written to MS Dhoni, we are joined by our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya. Tapas, in this letter, the Prime Minister not just refers to MS Dhoni, the ace cricketer and Captain Cool, but he also refers to him as an illustration of New India. The message going out loud and clear to India's youth?
Absolutely, without any out of doubt that this letter, it's just like the video message that Mahendra Singh Dhoni put on his Instagram in announcing his retirement, making more, not just in the country, but people all over the world, all over the globe, emotional. This letter has also done that. It has actually touched billions of people's heart. The way Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about the fact that here is a guy coming from cricketing backwaters, making sure, leading not just the country, but leading, hopes of a billion population, representing the new India that we are currently talking about. The whole idea started when MS Dhoni from the cricketing backwaters of Jharkhand started his career. Nobody gave him a chance to play for India. He defied that. Nobody gave him a chance to, captain the country. He defied that, and not just that, becoming the most successful Indian captain ever, getting hold of 3 ICC trophies, which has never been done. These are tasks, these are things that Mahendra Singh Dhoni has done, but more importantly, he has ignited the passion and dreams of billion-plus population. And that is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi is talking about, that here is a guy whose zeal, who has led this new India. He represents this new India, and that is one of the reasons why this letter is so, it gives us so much of confidence and so much of love, because the way it actually encompasses the whole career of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and that is just amazing, Moon.
Yes, Tapas, in fact, the Prime Minister also referred to MS Dhoni's calm demeanour in all circumstances. That's a tribute to Captain Cool, isn't it? And a lot for the present and future generations to learn from MS Dhoni.
True. I mean, that is what separates MS Dhoni from the rest of the players. And remember, Mahendra Singh, Prime Minister also spoke about his love for the armed forces. I will come to that in just a while. But when you spoke about the fact that his calm demeanor, there are many instances. While he was in the started his career, while he was in 2007 World Cup. Remember, everybody still talks about that final when against Pakistan, when he gave that ball to Jogendra Sharma to ball that particular over, that last over. So in that sense, in every manner, in all the matches from then onwards till the last match he played against New Zealand in 2019 Cricket World Cup, I had the great fortune of staying there and seeing Mahi from close quarters. His demeanor never changed. While he was batting in the net, while he was playing in the ground, inside the ground, or while he was, just going through his work, nobody could make out what is going on in his mind. He kept his emotions in check. He made sure that his calmness rubs on his team, and whenever the chip was down, whenever the tough gets, it becomes tough and difficult, the tough gets going, and that is how Mahendra Singh Dhoni has always been playing for the blue jersey. Now, talking about the other aspect that Prime Minister spoke about, his love for the armed forces. He's a lieutenant colonel in territorial army, and his love can be seen from the fact that before the World Cup started, he was there with his batchmates, with his people, and when the World Cup started, he actually wore the insignia of the territorial army on his gloves. It created a bit of a furor in the ICC, but he made sure that we talk about great people wearing their emotions in their sleeves. He wore his thing on his gloves, and no better way to show his love for the territorial army than by donning the gloves with its insignia.
Absolutely, and the Prime Minister saying that the concern that Mahendra Singh Dhoni had for the armed forces' welfare has also been remarkable. Well, thank you, Tapas, for having joined us with your perspective. Well, there is no let-up in flood fury in Bihar. Over 81 lakh people across 16 districts are still facing the deluge. River Ganga has started rising all along its course in Bihar. The river is flowing 12 centimeters above the danger mark at Gandhi Ghat in Patna. Moderate rainfall has occurred in the catchment areas of the river Gandak during the past 24 hours. This has caused heavy discharge from Gandak Barrage in Valmiki Nagar. According to the Water Resources Department, over 1.86 lakh cusecs of water was discharged from the barrage yesterday. Around 1.8 lakh cusecs of water was released from Bansagar Dam in Madhya Pradesh yesterday. It will have an impact on Ganga in Bihar after 5 days. Keeping this in view, an alert has been sounded in Rohtas district. As per State Disaster Management Department, the rescue and relief work is going on in full swing in the flood-affected areas. However, the number of relief camps and community kitchens are reduced as water has receded from certain areas. Relief of over 543 crore rupees have been given to over 9 lakh families at the rate of 6,000 rupees to each flood-affected family. Meanwhile, Met Department has predicted light to moderate rainfall in Bihar for the next few days. Floodwaters continue to recede in Assam, improving the situation considerably with people returning to their homes. Lives have started returning to normal as the number of districts affected by floods stand at 3 out of 33 districts, according to the Assam State Disaster Management Authority.
Now, as on date, 23 districts are affected, and once point of time 30 districts out of 33 districts are affected. Now the situation has improved a lot, and we cannot say the Assam faces floods every year perennially, and the flood comes up to a month of October. So now we are in the middle of August. We may face another wave of flood also, and the state is fully prepared for that because we have already tackled the flood situation in the state, and we have more than 600 relief camps are conducted. And of course, it was a great challenge because conducting the relief camps in between the COVID situation was a really difficult task for us, and the districts were fully prepared. We instructed the districts, and we prepared a separate guideline for maintaining of the relief camps in COVID situation. We kept the old age people and children separately in the relief camps, and sanitization medical teams were deployed in the relief camps.
Rains continued to lash the national capital and neighbouring areas this morning, triggering long traffic snarls and uprooting trees. Reports of waterlogging came in from around the city at major intersections of roads and several colonies that got affected with the incessant rain. As per the Met Department, widespread and heavy rains are expected to continue over different parts of northwest India, including the western Himalayan region and central India today as well. The Supreme Court has granted 2 days to lawyer Prashant Bhushan, who has been held guilty of contempt, to reconsider his defiant statement refusing to apologize for his contemptuous tweets against the judiciary. Attorney General K.K. Venugopal urged the court not to punish Bhushan for contempt. The bench said it cannot consider the request of Venugopal unless Bhushan reconsiders his earlier stand of not apologizing for his tweets. The court told Venugopal that the tone, tenor and content of Bhushan's statement makes it worse, asking, is it defense or aggravation? The top court said it can be very lenient if there is a realization of mistake and posted the matter for further hearing on the 24th of August. The number of patients recovering is on a steady rise over the past several months due to early identification through testing, surveillance and contact tracing. With more patients recovering and being discharged from hospitals and home isolation, India's total COVID-19 recoveries have reached nearly 21 lakh. So far, 20,96,664 patients have recovered. With the recoveries of 58,794 in the last 24 hours, India's recovery rate amongst COVID-19 patients has reached nearly 74%, reflecting that the number of patients recovering is on a steady rise over the past several months. Case fatality rate is lower than the global average and progressively declining. It currently stands at 1.89%. Union Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the 6th roundtable of the ASEAN-India network of think tanks, where he emphasized the need to go beyond orthodoxies, whether in trade, politics or security.
The contemporary relationship between India and ASEAN was founded very much on our shared interest in globalization. in Asia at least, the ASEAN were pioneers of that process and helped bring India into it. But as it comes under stress today, we need to go beyond its economic and even social definitions. Globalization may be reflected as trade, travel, and financial flows. But in reality, it is something very much larger. In fact, what the pandemic has brought out is the indivisible aspect of human existence that underpins globalization.
Jaishankar said that estimates say that the cumulative loss of the world economy owing to the current pandemic is being predicted to be the largest since the Great Depression. In that backdrop, he said that the relationship between India and the ASEAN needs to go beyond its economic and even social definitions.
Whether it is climate change, terrorism, or indeed pandemics, these are not challenges where those affected have a choice. The limitations of purely national responses or sometimes living in denial have become evident. It therefore underlines the need for the international community to work together much more sincerely in search of collective solutions.
The Uttar Pradesh government and Israel signed an MOU for water management for the development of Bundelkhand region in Lucknow today. Israel's ambassador to India, Ron Malka, and Israeli official Dan Aluf and Agriculture Production Commissioner Alok Sinha were present on the occasion. MOU was signed to improve water management techniques in Bundelkhand. Techniques related to improved agricultural measures, water augmentation through integrated drip irrigation will be included. Israel's ambassador to India says that Israel is keen to share practices and technology in the field of water management.
This is an historic day for us. It's an historic day because we signed an agreement on a flagship project of water management between Israel and India. Israel and India has announced lately a strategic partnership in water management. Israel, a water leading country in the world, overcame this water challenge, is keen to share its practices, its technology, water management experience with its precious friend India. This flagship project is the project that we are going to implement the Israeli model, the whole Israeli model of water management that was found so successful in Israel, and we are sure, we are positive that it will be successful also here in India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated an Eastern temple as it marks its silver jubilee. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "The temple has been at the forefront of many community service initiatives. It has brought people together and inspired them to work for humanity. When I was Gujarat Chief Minister, I had the honor of visiting the temple." He also shared some pictures of his visit. A lot of developmental and transformative changes have occurred in Jammu and Kashmir. The Jirmahana to Jummagund of Kupwara have been connected by a paved road. This road has been built under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and it has made lives of people a lot easier. Let's take a look.
People living in border areas of Kupwara are very happy as their dream of linking Jummagund from Zirhama has been finally fulfilled. Earlier during monsoon and winters, this entire area was cut from other parts of the valley for at least 6 months. People were not able to access education and medical facilities. Most of the sources of income were blocked. The agricultural produce used to be waste due to no transport facilities. Since this area is adjacent to the LOC, defense supply was also hindered.
इनके बच्चे बीमार होते थे, ये डांची पे उठा के लेते थे जुरहमा तक, तो आज तो इनके लिए फैसिलिटी बहुत अच्छी बन गई, रोड निकल गया, बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा है ये कनेक्टिविटी के लिहाज से, ये बहुत 2-3 गाँवों को यहाँ एडजस्ट करता है, जुम्मागढ़, गुजरपति, बनवाली, वजीरनाड़ी, ये सब एरिया इसी से कनेक्ट होता है।
ये तो हमारे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा फैसिलिटी है, इससे पहले तो हमारा वहाँ कोई हिसाब किताब नहीं था, रोड पैदल जाना था, ऐसे बहुत मुश्किलात थे, लेकिन अभी बहुत अच्छा है।
जुमागंड का गांव ये जो है, ये रोड यहाँ कुछ भी नहीं थी। पहले यहाँ लोग पैदल जाते थे, घोड़ों पर जाते थे, सफ़र करते थे। अभी रोड निकल गया, बहुत बड़ी फैसिलिटी होगी इसकी।
Under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, construction work of road linking Jummagund from Zirhama started. Though this patch was only 25 kilometers, but due to the height and dense forest, road construction was not easy. From 2011, the work was stopped, but in the last 1 year, it accelerated, and in July 2020, the dream project was dedicated to the people of Kupwara.
It's a 25-kilometer length road. It has been constructed in last 2 years. We have maximized this road on priority. We have the last terminating habitation in 25th kilometer called Jumagun. We have a population of around 750 people living over there. And this road is very important.
This road is like a boon, not only for Jumagund, but also for at least 19 other villages close to the LOC.
From Zohama to Zumagand, this 24.7 kilometer stretch is the long pending demand of the people who are living here, and they are very happy because now in 2 years spacey work, this project is completed. It will not only bring the facility in their lives, connectivity in their lives, but for strategic point of view, this is very important. With camera person Saurabh, Rama Tyagi, DD News, Zumagand.
And with that, we come to the close of this news bulletin. News and updates will continue on DD India and DD News.